Welcome to the Florida Relocation Guide, and today we are back talking about Tampa Bay, but in the format of a juxtaposition. If you're looking at this metro that exists above Sarasota, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest comparisons overall, is this between the Tampa mainland and St. Petersburg itself. A world's different within the same general world. The homes, the vibe, the lifestyle, really everything that involves giving people a certain kind of day-to-day living is so vastly different between the two, in my personal opinion. So I have unique experiences through most of my formidable years living in and around and amongst both of them. So I just wanted to walk through that to see if I could add any value. My name is Adam Hancock, if you're not familiar with me. If you have not grabbed our updated Tampa Bay Relocation Guide, it's a digital guide, it's a flip book, then please get your hands on that. It's completely new and fresh. And the sunshinestateco.com is where all the rest of the free guides and everything else, newsletters, and if we can help you in any way in the real estate market across the entire state of Florida, check all that out. And without further ado, let's hop in.
Okay, category number one, we're going to have kind of these thought exercise ceilings that we're going to explore and compare and contrast within. And the first one being housing and real estate. Where Tampa wins big, I think, is in two main areas, suburbs and new construction. Because of its inland nature and its pure landmass, it's a rare area that you could go north, west, east, and southeast and still be in the area to get communal family housing. That's something that St. Pete can't do, Naples can't do, and Sarasota can't do, because when you go west, you're in the water. And then Tampa's just huge. So it's got a lot of land, and that's where you can build neighborhoods, not just bungalows, or not just boroughs, rather. So you have 4 or 5-ish different options where you can get master plan, you can get new construction, you can get family gated type of neighborhoods that surround other neighborhoods, that surround suburban downtowns and good schools, etc. For instance, if you go, north, maybe the best mousetrap in this game, you hit Tampa Palms, and you have a lot of land, and it goes into Pasco County, but that's a Tampa conversation more than St. Pete in this direction. Wesley Chapel, Lutz, Zephyr Hills, Lando Lakes. You have large master plan, you have lagoons, churches, and it's true suburbs, right? And that's a very new area, so most of the new construction here exists north or southeast. Well, alternatives to that, you could say like, okay, that's 25 miles one way to downtown Tampa. I can't make that commute. I want to be a little closer. What's my alternative? I don't want to live in downtown. The other option is go old school, east, and that's where Brandon and Riverview, Progress Village are, Valrico, and they built Fishhawk master plan a few years ago out there. But it's an area where you save hundreds of thousands of dollars, get a family home big enough for you and your crew, and also have a 20-minute or less commute into downtown Tampa. A cheaper version of that is go a little bit south to Wimauma, Ruskin, Apollo Beach. And then on top of all that, you have another one, you could go west, and you can go towards the St. Pete area without being in it. And that's West Chase, Town and Country, Carrollwood, Northdale. And that gets you an equal distance to Clearwater Beach and downtown Tampa. But, West Chase is a large suburb they just built. There's a town center with it. They just built a few years ago. And those other ones are kind of old school 80s and 90s communities, but they're neighborhoods how you'd picture them. Now, if you go to St. Pete, you're typically not going there for the reasons I just mentioned. And you're going there, one, because you might love bungalow historic housing. The style of St. Pete is front porch living, it's community, it's eclectic, it's that vibe. It's the best way to describe it. Well, that's what the neighborhoods are too. If you Google the best neighborhoods in St. Petersburg, most of them cluster in one area, and it's slightly northeast of downtown St. Pete, and they're playing the proximity game to all the stuff people want to be close to. But you have Old Northeast, Woodlawn proper, St. Paul Euclid, historic Kenwood. You get close to the water, you have Shore Acres, Snell Isle. But that is an area that most of the housing, except for some of those water-based ones at the end there, are crawl spaces, historic bungalows, rear garages, that kind of vibe, right? And people either love it, and that's what they want, or they love St. Pete so much, that's a necessary sacrifice they're willing to take. And another area St. Pete really wins in, weirdly, is luxury condominiums. It's the opposite of what I just talked about here, but condominiums in Florida aren't just built in downtowns. A lot of times they're built in coastal downtowns because of the views. So St. Pete's making a massive push for that too. So if you're in the crowd and a lot of these are real bougie, but if you're in the crowd where you are retiring or you have a second or third residence or something like that, and Sarasota just happens to not be the one for you, then St. Pete could give you a lot more multi-generational, a lot more eclectic view, but offer a lot of the same benefits that a downtown Sarasota has, I think, in my opinion. So that's what I'd say about the major differences. Now, to put a big bow tie on that whole section, Tampa's so large that almost everything I named about St. Pete, you can also do in Tampa as well. If you want historic housing, you go to Hyde Park, North Hyde Park, Seminole Heights, Tampa Heights. The big thing here is probably the way you would do it. Typically, you're moving to the areas you want, not neighborhood first, it's area first. So if you love Tampa and you don't like all that new construction suburb housing, you could satiate St. Pete housing in Tampa in a similar way. But if you love St. Pete, you can't do the opposite. So that's the only way I'd prioritize that as far as just general context. Okay, category number 2 for this video, let's move into lifestyle a bit more. And we're gonna talk downtowns/districts. And we'll start in St. Pete right now because it's easier. So St. Pete has one major thoroughfare, one major downtown. It's on the bay side, not the beach side. And it's just called downtown St. Petersburg, but it's amazing. It's awesome. It's very large. It's very much fun and lifestyle first, work second. Not a big industry for work down there. And it's lovely. And it's unique because you have places like, it's coastal too, right? But you have places like really upscale. You could go to Beach Drive if you've never been there. And it's water facing. And it's very upscale, right? So you have like rooftop bars that look like Miami. You have high-end seafood like 400 Beach. You have Bella Brava, old school staples, Stillwater's Tavern. You have steakhouses. You have everything in between, right? You could go 2 streets back and be full on like grungy, eclectic rocker bar districts, right? Where they're playing indie rock shows. You have Janice Landing, which is a big square where all the bars and restaurants that are on the square, the back half of them pours into a courtyard that's also like a music venue. And those places are a stone's throw from the upscale places, right? You have high-rise condominiums and affordable apartments. You have a pier that is a full functional pier that's just been renovated, where it has kind of like hospitality venues out on the pier. It's extremely walkable district, and it's just cool. It's laid back, unbelievable brewery scene, tons and tons of breweries, a full brewery trail down there. You can walk from downtown to the Tampa Bay Rays games, the baseball games, the Rowdies, which is the minor leagues, maybe pro soccer. I'm not a big soccer fan, but the Rowdies, the soccer team's right there as well. And people love that. There's no one really that lives in Tampa that goes to downtown St. Pete and doesn't like it. But that's basically what St. Pete has. Now, you go to Tampa, and the downtown Tampa, which I know intimately, worked there for a long time, it's way more of a hustle-bustle work crowd. Cool energy, but it's a hustle-bustle work crowd. And even like going out to lunch in downtown Tampa, there's only a handful of places. It's kind of anticlimactic. However, that's not all Tampa has going for it. Again, in the abundance variety category. So hooked on to, I say it's like really hooked onto the end of downtown. It's technically downtown, but not in the main area. They built a full Riverwalk. So a full Riverwalk district where you go out, you have these large metal docks that are fully open container, a bunch of restaurants and water taxis and stuff align it. And you can like take your drink from Armature Works in a certain cup and walk all the way down to a bunch of other places. You have Eulalie, and it's cool because it weaves into that like after work crowd. That's what I say about Tampa. It's very much like people will go to like University of Tampa, graduate, stay, work downtown at a startup, and still have that same crew, which is like, it's like senior year on steroids. And they grow up with those people, go through stages of life with those people, and it's very much like a blended life of that's what people want now. They don't want to just go to work all day and have a separate friend group and their family separate from their work life. They want it to be blended. They want to kind of weave in and out, especially with the work from home. Tampa's more of that vibe. And then outside of just downtown, though, it has multiple. That's the thing, right? It's just like about the housing. Like you can do St. Pete stuff in Tampa. Can't do the other way around in a lot of capacities. But you could, if you say you're not feeling that downtown crowd, well, and you want something maybe really different, well, Tampa also has Ybor City, an exit away. And Ybor City is very different. It's very eclectic. It is founded on the back historically from the whole cigar district, right? So all those old buildings of like, that was all the funding for that area was the cigar industry. But they renovated a lot of those old buildings, still have the original even like stamps on them and stuff. There's restaurants, Tampa Bay Brewing Company's down there, the Tampa Bay Improv, the comedy venues down there, still railroads running through it. It's that whole vibe. Or say you want something that's like maybe a more uppity, upscale version of a lot of what St. Pete looks like, you go over to historic Hyde Park. And Hyde Park has a village called Hyde Park Village. It's 6 blocks of, really high-end stuff. Like it has Bar Taco, West Elm, Pottery Barn, that kind of vibe. There's a Buddy Brew Coffee down there. It's very clean, very upscale, very safe, walkable. And the neighborhoods that surround it look like a very, very mature version of the St. Petersburg neighborhoods I described. It's bungalows and stuff. It's just a very renovated version, I'd say. And then if that's not enough for you, the full Tampa International Mall is there that has Bay Plaza, which is an entire restaurant district in the front of it. But it feels very much like that happy hour crowd in a lot of the hospitality venues in Tampa, in that South Tampa area, versus St. Pete's being just a little different vibe. But that's how I'd round out the two. Again, it's Tampa's variety, St. Pete's different. It's a choice. And do you want all that Tampa has to offer, or would you rather live and breathe the St. Pete lifestyle? All right, number 3, we're going to start to go more narrow here and easier stuff to get your head around. And I'm calling the coastal lifestyle. Now, we're going to start with St. Pete here, because what does St. Pete have that Tampa does not? Beaches. St. Petersburg's on the Gulf, and Tampa is not. They're both on the bay, but St. Pete's on the Gulf. So if you want to be not 30, 40 minutes one way to the beach, then St. Pete's your only option, really, right? But you're probably going to live near the bay. Most people live near the bay side and commute over to the beach. Now, St. Pete, if we just break that down a little further, I think the Pinellas County, which involves St. Pete, the cool thing about the beach scene there is that there's a lot of them. So you're going to take barrier islands from the southern tip of like Fort DeSoto Park, Tierra Verde, which is above Anna Maria Island, and you're going to go up Paso Grill and St. Pete Beach and Sunset and Madeira Beach, Treasure Island, Reddington Shores, Indian Rocks, all the way to the northernmost tip of Clearwater Beach, Caladesi Island, Honeymoon Island, that area. But because within that whole mix I mentioned, you have very, very popular beaches and then many others, then you can not only vary it up, mix it up for yourself based on how you're feeling that day. You might want to be around a lot of people. Some days you don't. Night, morning, there are different beaches, parking, all that kind of thing. But it's also, you have a better than not chance of finding something that's not a cluster, because people have many choices to go to, and especially vacationers have many choices to go to. And most of them go to the areas that are in vogue. St. Pete Beach, unanimously popular. Clearwater Beach, obviously very popular as well, has a boardwalk. Treasure Island is like really touristy. But where I found myself over time being like a Florida local is I started leaning towards like Paso Grills of the world. I'm looking for easy in and out, short walks from parking lot to water. I don't mind if the sand's a little grittier, if people aren't there. Indian Rock's lovely. It's very residential. So residential, just like Longboat Key, typically equals beach access, but not in a way that has mass population, because it's harder. It's like little offshoots and stuff, because it's mostly people living there and commuting off instead of coming in for vacation. And I think that variety gives you a lot of that kind of thing, a lot of texture. Fort DeSoto Park has a nice channel there, great fishing, kite surfing, all that kind of thing. So Tampa side obviously doesn't have any beaches, so what do you talk about there? I would say that Tampa, one, it's not like it doesn't have any water lifestyle, right? Like South Tampa, where like McDill Air Force Bases and all of that. You have Davis Island, and you have Bay. You know, you have not only the water taxis in the river, but you have Bay. If you're a boater, you might want golf, but you also have Bay, and it's not like you can't get to the golf. So it's just a priority thing, I think, mostly. And the more unique spin on this category would be, do you need the beach? I mean, we all assume that everybody loves the beach, but that's not the case. And even when it comes to retirement now, what they're doing is they're doing these lagoon communities. So Epperson Lagoon, there's like 3 or 4 now. Epperson Lagoon, South Shores, I think, and Brandon Riverview area. Lennar's playing a lot in these communities where it's basically everything but the beach. There's these huge fresh bodies of water that have like this beach frontage they put in there, that have amenities, and they build neighborhoods around them. And they started doing these affordable 55 and up communities too. Like Medley by Lennar's brand weaving into these communities. You have this Wiregrass area in Wesley Chapel where Esplanade, the Taylor Morrison brand, did a 55 and up that's not too far from the lagoon communities, and they're open to the public. So even if you go to the beach once a month, then you might want to reside in a house that's better fit for you with a lagoon, and then travel to the beach versus having to take the home sacrifices that would be required to live near the beach, which are immense, as an alternative. Okay. The fourth category in this video, my original intention was to talk vibe. I think I've beat up the vibe of these two pretty good by talking about the other subjects so far. But if we stay on this point just for a minute, what I would say is, in my experience, people typically find themselves pretty distinctly, it's binary. They're a St. Pete person or a Tampa person. And I've been a St. Pete person at stages in my life, went to a Tampa person at other stages, and even back to a St. Pete person at different stages. And that is the beauty of Tampa Bay. That a Sarasota and Naples don't have the scale to necessarily satiate, is that you can evolve from college student all the way to empty nester within Tampa, and continue to invent and reinvent yourself, because it has so many different parts of town that are like full-on cities elsewhere, right? It's like, with Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County, you have parts of what make Sarasota, Naples, Boca Raton, a lot of these areas, the inland areas, the Icalas of the world, what people like about those, you can also do here if you know what you're looking at. So I think that's one of the beauties overall. But, in essence, St. Pete is viewed as eclectic. It's viewed as a little bit younger. It's a little bit as more of a coastal hipster vibe. And it is play first, work second. So you don't have a lot of the stuff that come with work first, play second. You don't have heavy commutes. Like when you cross the bridges to Pinellas County, the world's different in the traffic patterns. Like it's hard to describe, right? It's very different, like you could get into like community and demographics or whatever but I think it's more about the infrastructure of what makes it special that creates traffic and vibe and all that kind of stuff. Tampa's going to be, you have a very family-centric part of Tampa, but you also do for St. Pete. But all those master plan communities are going to attract a certain amount of people for certain reasons. And you have a lot of prep schools, a lot of prep high schools within Tampa that are going to attract that as well. But you also have most of the work. It's your hub. It's your city. It's your finance, your IT. It's all of that kind of stuff. And that's going to attract this energy of a work crowd. And it's going to attract startup scene. And you're going to have a lot of that kind of stuff that exists here that St. Pete isn't trying to do. But between the two of them, it's pretty cool that you can have both. But that's what I'd say about vibe. And my last one for this video, it's a quick one, but I just want to talk geography briefly. I don't like to get crazy about this category on this subject because, I don't know, it's not negligible, but I don't think it's as important. But the one thing I'd say when it comes to geography in St. Pete is it's waterlocked. You know what I mean? It's because Tampa's on the other side. You have Bay on one, Gulf on the other, and water below it as well on your way to Bradenton. So it's bridge. And nothing really above it that you'd want to go to necessarily. So if you have a weather issue, it's going to be a bottleneck, right? But that is an issue with a lot of coastal cities. But this one in particular, you can't go east to land necessarily. So that's one thing to consider. Now, on the positive side, it is a nice location. So what's special about Sarasota, or not the only thing, but like a lot of it, is on the same exact line north to south as St. Pete, right? Like the downtown Sarasota is on the coast. 3 miles from Lido Beach, Siesta Key, Longboat Key, Anne Marie Island. Venice is on the coast as well. So by going directly south, you get to that stuff pretty easy from St. Pete's location. And downtown St. Pete and a lot of those neighborhoods I mentioned are actually pretty far south in town when it comes to like the grand scheme of things. So that's a nice little like bonus addition if you want to enjoy both lifestyles. A lot of people like in our headquarters in Sarasota like to shoot up to St. Pete for the opposite reason. Tampa being inland, right? You have a little bit more weather protection. You can keep going east. You're a little closer to Orlando if that matters to you. The airport is in Tampa, the Tampa International, which is the major one, which I know is a big thing for travelers. That's what the biggest geography plays, I think, for Tampa would be. Now, Tampa, on that Sarasota conversation as well, being inland, that's where like the Lakewood ranches of the world and all that are. And that's also where the interstate is, the I-75 rather. There's a couple, but I-75 is. So that major up and down on the coast, it's Tamiami Trail, and then inland, it's I-75. That you can easily shoot up and down, like pretty straight shot. Lakewood Ranch is 60 miles one way to the airport in Tampa. So if that matters to you, then you have that going for you, and that's how I will round that one out.
Okay, that does it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this take. If you did, please consider subscribing to the Florida Relocation Guide if you've not already done so. We talk about Tampa, St. Pete, Wesley Chapel, Clearwater, Dunedin, Sarasota, Venice, Lakewood Ranch, Southwest Florida, and beyond. So if you resonate with any of that kind of content, this is a great place to be. Again, my name is Adam Hancock, and I have a few things I just wanted to share with you before we head out here. One, if you don't already know, I own a real estate company called the SunshineStateCo.com. It's a residential real estate brokerage. We can help you with any needs beyond just relocation, new construction, any buying or selling needs in the state of Florida. We have a really unique team. So if you're interested, you like this kind of content, you want an extension of that, please consider reaching out. We also have a brand new community group we released, which is like the first of its kind. It's a group that's private to just the members of this community right here. And what it adds is a couple extra layers. So you have the videos and all this kind of stuff with the YouTube subscription, and you have maybe you're getting our newsletter and guides, all that. What the community adds is a little bit more intimate approach. So one, the whole week, every week when I'm working through ideas and a lot of the content from the newsletters and the videos, all the stuff I'm researching basically to put stuff like this together, I I kind of do a brain dump ruminations of where once a week I share that information where it's more real time, basically. If there's any incentives or new releases and all that kind of thing, rather than waiting 30 days to get that information, I basically give you more of a blurb of stuff, just more conversational with me. We also, all our giveaways, they go in there first before the video that they're about mentions them. And then finally, at any point in that group, I'm the moderator of it. So at any point in that group, you can hover over my picture of my face and you can directly DM chat with me. So this would be a good place if you wanted to ask me any individual questions you're working through, whether you're working with an agent on our team already or not. Then I'll send you a voice memo with my answer. I'll chat back to you, that kind of thing. And I'm going to keep up with that as fast as I can. I check it several times a day. So that's what the community would offer that nothing else does. It's absolutely free. And then again, the sunshinestateco.com is kind of our ecosystem, all of our blogs, our whole world, all of our contact information's there. So if you're inclined to participate in any of that, please do so. Again, my name is Adam Hancock. You have just watched a video by the Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next one.